Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you're joining us, what part of the world, and whether you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch, I'm so happy to have you all join us in this live stream session. So today we'll have a very cool and interesting topic. It's near and dear to my heart, pun intended. And here's some spoiler alerts for what's coming up next. But before we do this, I'm just gonna tell you a quick overview about what we'll be expecting. So this is part of a series sessions that we run here at Solace for our live coding sessions, where we do some live coding interactions and collaborate with other people in the industry, where we either talk about different frameworks, different tools, different technologies, or different companies where we come and talk about technologies and integrate that using during a live coding session. I just want to remind everyone that this session will be interactive. So I am depending on each and one of you to interact with us today through the chat. So audience interactions and audience questions are accepted in the chat. So if you feel free to give us a shout out, or whether you're on YouTube or Twitch, we will see your comments and we'll be happy to interact with you. In today's live coding session, we'll be talking about the iPaaS infrastructures using Boomi and Solace, and we'll be working on a very cool project. We'll do a quick proof of concept live with you all. So as we're having people join us into this stream, just want to remind everyone to, if you want to stay up to date with our live events, you could check it out in our Solace community or on our Twitter on at Solace Devs. So you could check out the Solace community website at the bottom. We post a bunch of different events. So as soon as you sign in, as soon as you check out this website, you will have you'll see the calendar on the left-hand side for all the different events that are coming up. In the meantime, while we'll have people join us, whoever is with us right now, feel free to write in the chat where are you joining us from, what city you're joining us from, and what time is it in your city. So I'll be happy to see where are people joining us from. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest for today, Tommy from Boomi, who we will be chatting with today. So Tommy, how's it going, Tommy?
Hey guys, how are you? Doing well. How are you doing, Tamimi?
Doing well, doing well.
Good,
So first,
good.
thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure of mine to have you on board, because the topic that we're going to be talking about is very interesting, and I'd like to kind of chat with you a little bit about Boomi and kind of get your input on the different things. So let's start with kind of like talking about what is an iPaaS and what is Boomi. To be quite frank, before a couple months ago, I didn't know what an iPaaS is, and I had to jump in. Oh, it's pretty cool to have all these integration platforms to be all integrated in one place. So I would like to hear from you what Boomi is and what is iPaaS, and the importance of iPaaS in the industry with respect to speed to market and the value.
Sure. So iPaaS, to give you sort of a technical definition, but it's iPaaS stands for Integration Platform as a Service.
Mm-hmm.
So an iPaaS would deliver cloud services for integration scenarios.
Right.
um, multi-tenant platform, and this is what Boomi is also.
Right.
But we support cloud to cloud, cloud to on-premise, on-premise to on-premise, and business to business integrations.
Nice, nice. What are the kind of different clients and customers, or kind of like example and use cases for iPaaS? Why would people use an iPaaS infrastructure?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really sort of like the world is your oyster kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing with iPaaS. Some of our customers, they span a wide range. So the American Cancer Society, um, Cornell University,
Mm-hmm.
Sky, the British broadcasting
Nice.
company, Quanta Services. They do a lot of work with pipelines and gas drilling companies and things like that, or
Right.
even some commerce sites like the Wine Collective, things like that.
Right.
They're
Right.
all using integrations and iPaaS platforms.
Cool. That's pretty neat. Do you know if there's like, if there's kind of like a use case of iPaaS in the healthcare industry, where like people in the healthcare industry, would they use an iPaaS integration? What kind of like usage does it have in the healthcare industry?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of the Easter seals
Mm-hmm.
in the Bay Area, so out in California. Um, they used us specifically. There was a change in the law in California where they had to all of a sudden um, support a bunch of behavioral health,
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
they weren't able to do that right away. So they used an iPaaS. They used Boomi
Mm-hmm.
specifically to help them uh, scale up very quickly a system where they're able to now offer behavioral health services,
Right.
and we are helping run that system with over like 7,000 healthcare providers attached to it.
Interesting. Yeah, all using like Boomi, the Boomi ecosystem to integrate different components and integrate different parts of the end-to-end architecture all
Yep.
within one place, basically.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, when I started kind of like looking more into just iPaaS in general and Boomi, just the ability of integrating different pieces and having different parts of your architecture all integrated with like a drag and drop functionalities, literally low code and no code.
Yes.
You just go in, configure the connection, whether it's to like a database or to Salesforce or whatever you want, all within the same ecosystem, and you have all the integrations, which is
Yeah.
which is pretty
Yeah.
neat, honestly.
That's the key part about Boomi is the low code
Yeah.
and being able to connect to anywhere.
Right.
That's
Right.
Boomi's thing. We have over 1,500 connections to different endpoints right now.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, that is pretty neat. And I think today's live coding session is going to be pretty interesting, because we're going to tap into a potential use case where you want to event enable your iPaaS infrastructure and integrate real time events into your Boomi infrastructure and whatever you have it as an architecture, and you want to have some event driven applications and a real time stream of data coming into your application. So this is pretty cool. I will be introducing Jesse in a bit, but before I do so, I want to give a shout out to a bunch of people who are joining us right now on YouTube and Twitch. We have people from Orlando, Amsterdam. Mark from Orlando says hi. We have people from Amsterdam. John from the UK as well is joining us, so it's great. We have people
Cool.
from India as well joining us, which is awesome.
All over the world.
So
Yeah.
happy. Yeah, all over the world. We have different places around, which is great. We have from Twitch, Aaron. He's in Singapore right now, so it's great. So whatever you, all the audience, you have any comments or shout outs you want to talk about, feel free to put it on the Slack and talk about. So Andrew, you got a shout out. Tommy, looking good, man. So you got a shout out from
Thank you,
Andrew,
Andrew.
which is great. So this is fantastic. I'm happy we have a bunch of different people joining us from different parts of the world, the city, the states, whether in the US and Canada. Oh, I am from Ottawa, Canada. I forgot to mention that. Tommy, where are you located?
Yes, I am in Chesterbrook, PA. I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Sweet.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So we're in the same time zone, which is
Yes.
great. Quick reminder to anyone who's joining us, follow us on Twitter at Solace Devs, and we'll be posting a bunch of different updates there. So this is something that we'll be doing. Jonathan is joining us from Utah, which is awesome. So without further ado, I will be introducing Jesse, and he will be talking about what we'll be doing today for life code. Andrew, go sense. Perfect. Go sense. Sure. Awesome. So Jesse from Solace. Jesse, how's it going? You're
Hey, good morning,
on.
everybody. Hi, yeah, I was on mute, of course, but it's good. Good to hear the conversation between you and Tommy there. Boomi is certainly such a capable thing, and they have integration, and also what we're going to see today is the Flow, which is low-code, sort of lightweight application environment as well, which I think is really great. That beyond just the integration tools, which are fantastic, Boomi also brings to the table master data management. They also bring to the table the low-code environment and also API management. So really, really cool stuff. I'm really happy to partnering with Tommy today and Boomi in general.
You mentioned Flow. So we have the Boomi ecosystem for Boomi different integrations. Tommy, could you touch a little bit on Flow? So what is Boomi Flow, and how is it related to the whole Boomi integrations and the Boomi ecosystem?
Sure. So Flow is low code again, but it's a cloud native service for creating workflow automation and app development. And the way I think of it is we use it as a UI to display what Boomi platform is actually bringing to the table. So you're able to see the integration and what's happening in the integration, or see what's happening through Master Data Hub or your API management using Flow.
Right.
Flow is that UI tool. Yeah.
Okay, this is pretty interesting. Before we jump into the what is the use case that we're gonna do today, Tommy, do you guys have a developer community that people could go in and join? What's the developer community called?
Yes. The Boomiverse.
Boomiverse. Okay, sweet.
Yeah,
so we'll put a link to the Boomiverse so you could check it out.
Our Boomi community there. Like Solace does, we post our events and everything there as well. But the community is a place for people to basically collaborate on projects, ask questions. We are there to answer questions in the Boomiverse as well.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of things you can find in the Boomiverse for sure.
Sweet, fantastic. So the audience who are watching us, we have a developer community for Boomi. You can check it out over here, and we have the Solace developer community on solace.community that you could go ahead, join, and ask whatever questions that is related to event-driven and real-time interactions. And so you could check it out on our Solace community. So we've been chatting for a bit. We did a quick introduction about what an iPaaS is, just in general, what Boomi is all about, and how Solace would be kind of playing in the event-driven domain. In a nutshell, to anyone who's joining us who doesn't know, Solace, we have an advanced message broker to facilitate event-driven development and real-time interactions. So today we'll give you kind of an overview on how we could bring in real-time data into a Boomi ecosystem and use Boomi Flow to visualize this real-time data that you are getting. So the title of the video gives it away. We're going to be doing some heartbeat related stuff. There's a bunch of sensors. I said a bunch of different keywords, from sensors to heartbeats to event driven, event broker, iPaaS. There's a bunch of different keywords that I mentioned, and a bunch of different jargon. And I'm so happy today that we're going to show you how each of these different keywords are going to be implemented and used. So Jesse, I know that you have some heartbeat monitors and heartbeat sensors around you. So I would like you to kind of give me an overview of what do you have in mind? What are the kind of different, what is the scenario or simulation what we want to do from like a healthcare perspective? And yeah, and then we could start kind of like whiteboarding session and doing, figuring out what we want to do live. So Jesse, take it away.
Sure. So like Tamimi said, Solace really excels at real-time data, a lot of data coming in, can handle massive numbers of connections. And so thinking through a really great demo to do with Boomi, immediately sort of Internet of Things came to mind, both because it produces a lot of real-time data at one time, and also because it seems like a really important space right now. You know, moving into healthcare, I just got a sort of Internet of Things set up in my house where the garage door talks to the alarm system, talks to the locks, talks to the Sonos system. It really feels like sort of the Internet of Things, especially with the 5th generation of mobile networks coming, is going to be a really key use case for a lot of different companies, maybe even companies that aren't even thinking about IoT right now. And I also was thinking, live demos, always a little bit terrifying for tech people. Tommy is smiling. He knows, everybody on the call who's ever done a live demo knows it's a little bit terrifying because things always go wrong in ways that you would never anticipate. So I thought to myself, live demos are terrifying. Let's have my heartbeat during this live demo. So if things start going wrong, we can actually see me getting terrified in real time. So I'm a Michigan graduate, and there's actually a very cool company based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, called Backyard Brains, and they do amazing things. This is actually kind of something they would typically use for high school students, you know, high school science teachers. Want to do like a heartbeat demo, or in fact, this thing actually comes with, I'll pull it out here. It comes with this very attractive headband here, and it can actually pick up brain waves if you do it just the right way. We'll be sticking with heart waves today, but in general, you know, for a little bit more of a technical perspective, it's based off of an Arduino board. Essentially, there's sensors that will be attached to me with my very own heartbeat, and so then, sorry, I got a phone call here. So we get a heartbeat coming in, my heartbeat coming in over a serial port, and we have a Python script that we'll showcase a little bit more. And that Python script takes the raw data and pumps it up into the cloud through an event broker. So super excited, and we'll see what we do with the data from there.
Awesome. Okay, basically. So you mentioned sensors and heartbeats, and we're going to be sending it to the cloud. So I have a small little whiteboard here. Let's go ahead. I think it's a bit focus.
Went blurry. Yeah.
I look myself many times a day at Tamimi.
Yeah, I tried this multiple times during the day. So okay. It will
live demo right there, man.
Right. Okay. There you go. It's focusing. So let's go ahead and do some whiteboarding. Jesse and Tommy, feel free to pitch in. Anyone as well on YouTube and Twitch, if you guys want to pitch in. If anybody want to pitch in, feel free to tell us what you think. So Jesse, I'm going to draw you. Let's say that this is you. Okay. I'm going to write your name, Jesse.
A little bit more hair on there.
Okay, there you go.
Not too much.
This is good. So let's say that you want to send your heartbeat. So here, this is a heart, and you want to send your heartbeat over to a Solace broker. So let's say that this is a Solace broker, which is an advanced event broker, and we want to set up a queue inside that broker that will take in your heartbeat. So what we'll do is you have the IoT device, you'll set it up using your scripts, and it will communicate with Solace over MQTT, which is a protocol that is used for messaging. After that, let's say now we set up your Solace broker, and then let's say that this is your Boomi integration. So I'm going to write here Boomi integration. Tommy, within the Boomi side of things, how can we connect the Boomi integration side to a Solace broker so that anything that comes in a queue, over a specific topic, will be used in the Boomi side of things?
Yeah, so something we would use actually particular to this would be the Solace connector that we have. That will be available shortly.
Okay, so we have a
but
Solace
that's-
connector here. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll connect to that queue. It will listen for that live data coming from the Solace platform.
Okay, so it would listen to the live data, and it comes here. So I'm assuming, Jesse, you'll be sending your data over like a specific like JSON payload. There you have like a specific structure, and that will be received on the Solace connector side. After you receive it, Tommy, what do we want to do with this? So let's say that this is a hospital or a healthcare system, and a hospital wants to take Jesse's heartbeat on a regular basis. After it takes it and puts it in this like Boomi integration, what do we want to do with it?
Yeah, something I'm thinking in the States anyway. I'm thinking the customer maybe opted in to their insurance company. And
Right.
they're doing some exercise, and the healthcare system is monitoring their heart rate.
Okay.
Making sure they're doing their exercise. So we would connect, probably we would go into like a top branch, and we would have 2 branches.
Okay.
And the top branch would connect into that healthcare system.
So a database, for example?
Yeah, we'll
Awesome.
do a database to connect into that healthcare system and pull the heartbeat that a customer, or in this case, Jesse, shouldn't go over.
Okay.
And on the second branch, coming down from that, we will take Jesse's live data and make sure that his heart rate isn't going over that particular key heart rate.
Right. So we'll use some sort of like a map functionality, let's say, for example.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
perfect.
use a map function to compare and contrast those.
Would we need to put that again in a database, or like after you compare, what are we going to do with the data?
Well, yeah, then we would send that along to a different database.
Okay, sweet.
Or to the healthcare provider
right.
that the database is going to mimic. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then, so like the data would come in, and they would put it in a database. Do you use some sort of? Is there some sort of like caching functionality at Boomi, or we could like put?
Yeah, we would definitely use a cache on that first
so
branch.
We'll put a cache here. So like we'll cache the data, and then we'll do the comparison. And then we'll put it again in the database.
Yep.
Okay, nice. Sure. And that will, like, the idea behind this is it will happen in real time.
Yes. It all would happen in real time. Yep.
So after it's in the database, what do you want to do with it?
From there, that's where we could use Flow, and we could access that database. And let's say there's a healthcare worker. They're looking at this database and making sure that Jesse's heartbeat isn't going over a particular key rate there. If it does, they could act on that in Flow.
Right. Okay, this makes sense. Jesse, what do you think? I'll bring it in a little bit more. So that's you with the hair. You'll be sending your heartbeat to a Solace broker. Oh, more hair. Okay, we'll add more hair. Here you go. That's for Mark. We'll send it to a Solace event broker, and then we'll have the connection on the Boomi side. Do you think is this good for you, Jesse?
Well, it's good for me if Tommy can confirm that Cigna is not a client of Boomi, so that Cigna, my insurance company, will not be watching this demo.
that's good.
To the best of your knowledge, Cigna is not partnered with Boomi.
Right. Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
I think that's fantastic. The other cool thing with Solace is that we have this one particular integration with the messages coming in. If we wanted to add additional functionality, because we're a PubSub architecture, we could have this going into 30 different Boomi flows if we wanted to. I think we got quite a bit of stuff on our plates right now. We're running processes, I should say, Tommy. But I think we've got more than enough on our plates, so we'll just focus on my data being pumped out into Flow. I think that's great.
That's actually a good idea. Let's do kind of like a basic MVP end to end. We'll do it live right now, and we'll check it out. Before I jump in, we have a question on from YouTube that goes, how is the data being sent from the sensor over to Solace REST, MQTT, or some other protocol? That's a very, very good question. And I would like to share my screen to show you a couple of things from a Solace perspective. So Solace is an advanced event broker that supports a polyglot of different protocols. So we have our native Solace APIs that you can use to integrate, but we can also be using some of the open standard protocols like MQTT, AMQP, REST, and WebSocket to interact with the broker. So what we're going to be doing today is Jesse has his heartbeat sensor written in Python. What we're going to do in here in the Python script, we're going to connect to the Solace broker over an MQTT client and send a stream of data, heartbeat basically, using MQTT over to the Solace broker. Mind you that there are a plethora of all of other protocols and APIs that we can use to integrate with this. So even if you have another IoT device that communicates using a different protocol, you could still integrate it and send it to Solace as well. So I hope this answers your question. And yeah, we could go ahead and check it out. Some other questions is, will this session be available on demand? Yes, so once the live session is over, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel from the same link. So you could use the same link and it'll be available. So without further ado, we could go ahead and jump. Jesse, did you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, we have a comment here that says, Jesse looks like Craig Bett with a goatee. And now I have to feel like I need to take time out and and actually Google who that is, because I don't really know. So maybe a good compliment, or maybe something I really don't want to know about. So maybe I'll take that offline.
All right, awesome. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and jump into setting up. So I just saw this architecture from our developer portal, which is solace.dev. You could go check it out, and from that portal, you could get more information about Solace, what is PubSub in general, all the different information you can get from here. There's also different use cases where you can learn about where event-driven is important, how could it be used, whether it's in microservices, whether it's in IoT, which what we'll be doing right now, similar to this, whether it's messaging, whether you want to build a solid event mesh where you have different message brokers, you have different event brokers located in geographically different places, and you want to connect these brokers together. You can create an event mesh, and there's a whole lot of things you can do with the Solace broker. So today I will be using Solace Cloud. So the event broker is available to you in 3 different flavors. You can either have a hardware appliance, where you get the hardware appliance and use that message broker in a hardware appliance. You could have it in a software. So we have a Docker image with the event broker that you can use and connect to. And you could use it on cloud, which is our SaaS offering. We have a free trial version for our SaaS offering. And this is what I'm going to be using today. So if you get started with cloud, which is on console.solace.cloud, and you could go in here and try sign up for a cloud account. It's free, no credit card required. You can go ahead and quickly set up your Solace Cloud account. So I have this. I'm going to put in my email, but I will put it on a separate screen, and I am logging in. You could probably hear me typing right now. So I just put in my email, and this is my personal email. This is a free tier, a free trial account that I have. So when I went into my Solace Cloud, I set up a messaging service, which is an event broker that I'll be using to connect to. So I'm going to give you a quick overview over here. When I set up my broker, if I go to the Connect tab, I can see different ways I can connect to my message broker over here. So this is something that you can use to figure out. But what I'm going to be using today is something we have, the event portal, because I want to design the application that Jesse just discussed about. And from using the event portal, I can architecturally design my application. And then from there, it'll be easier. I can share it with other developers that they can then either auto-generate code from it, or or I could define my topics and the payload of the topic that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and start designing my application. So I'm going to create a new application domain, and I will call it Heartbeat Boomi application domain over here. So let me take my other camera out. So now I have a Heartbeat. Now, of course, when you get the free trial, free version of the free trial version of Solace Cloud, you have a default application domain. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one, call it Heartbeat. So I'm going to create an application in here, which is the sensor. So this is the IoT sensor that the description, I will say this is the IoT heartbeat sensor that will be sending those events. So if I create this and save it, you'll see now I have an application that's called the sensor. And I could go into it and see that this is the IoT heartbeat sensor. The the IoT sensor will be emitting events. These events will, like on every heartbeat, an event is going to be triggered on a particular topic. So what I'm going to be doing over here is I'm going to add an event that is associated with this application. So right now, the event, I have to create a new event. So I will go in here and create an event. The event I want is called a heartbeat. And let me know if you have any questions on the way. So I can't see if there's any questions. So if any questions coming from the audience, feel free to interrupt me and let me know. So I will go ahead and continue. So this is the event that will be triggered from the heart sensor. Okay, so every time a heartbeat is triggered, this event will be triggered. The associated payload schema. So I remember before we talked about, you know, the IoT device will be emitting events. Jesse, when you program your IoT heartbeat sensor, what are the different things that is associated with the payload schema? So what are you sending over in every event?
Well, obviously my heartbeat. That's a big one. But also sort of one of the great big things about event-driven architecture is that you want things generally to be stateless. So you want to have things, enough state or enough context for that event to convey all the information you need without having to rely on outside databases. So in addition to my heartbeat, I'm sending my first name, my last name, my age, which is obviously important with that. And then also sort of to make things a little bit more realistic, we're sending a region ID. If we were a nationwide company or something like that, we want to geographically target things. Right. And also a client ID. Obviously, you want to be able to differentiate. Oh, this is coming in from Jesse as opposed to Tamimi or from Tommy. If we had three heartbeat sensors sending things at the same time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So with what you mentioned to me right now, we're going to create a JSON schema based on that JSON payload that you mentioned. So I could go to jsonschema.net, and what this here is I will create a schema for it. I do have a sample of what a potential payload would look like. So does this make sense to you, Jesse? So if we have a tracking GUID, this is from the IoT device ID, the generated time where this heartbeat was generated in epoch time, patient's first name and last name, you could put it here, age, region ID, client ID, and of course, your heartbeat. We want to know what your heartbeat is. Does this make sense, Jesse, as a payload that you'll be sending?
It makes sense, and somehow you've captured exactly what I coded my script to do, so it's fantastic. I love it.
Sweet. Okay.
I don't know, it's like you read my mind, or we talked beforehand.
Great minds think alike. As if. Okay, awesome. So we just created a JSON schema right now, and I will copy that, go back to my event portal, paste this over here. So what's nice about the event portal is I generated this JSON schema, and it will give me an example, a sample on like what the schema would look like, which is exactly what we had in the generated schema. So what I'm going to do is save this schema, attach this schema to my event. So you'll see here, I created an event, and the name of the event is a heartbeat event. And the schema of that heartbeat is defined in the schema. So I can save that again, and topics. So this is also an important thing. I'm glad I missed the topic. I couldn't save the event until I identify a particular topic structure. So a topic basically is kind of the destination where you want to send your event to, and the topics are being handled in the Solace Event Broker, in the Solace Broker. So this is where Jesse will be sending out this heartbeat on a particular topic. So let's say that, for example, I want to, what would be a good topic hierarchy, Jesse, that we want to do for this? So of course I want to call it a heartbeat. This is my kind of my first layer. Shall we include like the region ID in the topic hierarchy?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's right. Generally, what we want to do is have a hierarchy that goes from the most general, sort of level. In this case, would be region ID. I think that's perfect. All the way down to the most specific thing. So, moving from region maybe down to like the sex or gender of the person sending it in, and then also all the way down to the person ID, which would individually identify someone.
Perfect.
And this is a brief sidelight. Having that ID there is actually really cool and important for IoT uses, because Solace, what you can do is set up a very easy security policy, such that people can only publish to their particular topic, their particular client ID, and also only read information from their particular topic. So it creates a very easy way to sort of regulate, especially with healthcare data, as you know. Tommy was mentioning the PHI stuff earlier, to sort of lock down PHI at the infrastructure level rather than having to worry about it at a more programmatic level, which is always difficult and hard to maintain. So yes, I think that's a good topic.
Fantastic. Then this is our topic hierarchy, and I want to point out here just a comment that anything in the squiggly brackets over here is a dynamic element. So dynamically, like, we're gonna have different region IDs, different genders, different client IDs, but the first level is a heartbeat. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that schema. So right now, our sensor app. So if I go back to do you remember the first when we first created our sensor app, we said that this sensor app will publish a heartbeat. So all I gotta do is click publish, and now save it. So now we can see that our sensor application, all right, is going to publish an event, and this event is called a heartbeat. So this is, if you remember the whiteboard, this is kind of the first section where Jesse will send his heartbeat. Now I will create another application here, call it the heartbeat processor, which will be from the Boomi side of things, and the heartbeat processor will subscribe to the heartbeat, basically. So I'm going to go ahead over here. If you can see, I can either put subscribe or publish. This event will subscribe to the heartbeat, and it will be listed here under the subscribed events. So I will save this just to take a look at how this would look like. So now I have a sensor that emits a heartbeat event, and this heartbeat event is being received by the heartbeat processor. So this is pretty much it from an event portal. We designed our architecture, we defined our events, we defined our schema for the payload schema for every event, and the different applications that we'll be using this. So I think we're ready right now to go ahead and jump into actual development and look into the sensor side of things. So this is pretty interesting what we have so far from a event portal perspective. Before we jump into Jesse's screen, I will go ahead, Jesse, and share your screen. To anyone who's joining us right now on YouTube and Twitch, feel free to ask any questions, put any comments, and we'll take it. I'm just taking a look at some of the comments from YouTube. So there's some comments going on YouTube. People are asking. So yes, some of the questions are asking about how can we modify the from an admin perspective, like if there's a Solace admin or a Solace portal, and you want to track that in the Boomi, we will show you how we could connect the Boomi connector to how we could configure the Boomi, the Solace connector on Boomi to communicate with Solace. So we could figure this out. Again, if anyone has any questions from audience, feel free to ask them. If you haven't already, let us know where you're joining us from, what city, and what time is it you have at your region. Jesse, I don't know if I asked you where you're joining us from. Where are you joining us from?
I am just outside Boston, so
Just outside Boston.
Yep.
Okay.
There was actually a really interesting question / comment from Pollux Troy 2010 up there. I don't know if you want to address that now. Definitely a common concern or challenge with event-driven architecture. I've encountered that a lot myself, but I don't know if you want me to speak briefly to it now or maybe hold it to the end.
Yeah, we could quickly speak briefly to it. So Jesse, you could talk about how we could easily add any analytics into our end-to-end architecture that would subscribe to that topic hierarchy structure.
Yeah, so I think, and this is something I've been doing a lot of thinking about, and maybe we can discuss it briefly here and talk about it offline, but I sort of the universal GUID being attached to a message that can move, and you're right, because with the PubSub architecture, one message comes in and it gets spread out to potentially tens, hundreds of different endpoints within Solace. Then yeah, exactly right. And then it's hitting SaaS systems, and where did it go? How do we track it? Whereas if you have a more traditional point-to-point architecture, it's very obvious where things went. And I do think that sort of assigning, hopefully at the source of the event, and then you can see that I included a tracking GUID within my event sensor program that travels with the data, gets propagated up to the header. Each of these messages, as they're moving through the event broker, has both a payload and a header. Right. And that's an ideal place to put sort of a tracking GUID. And I think what you do with that data, especially if you start using things like opentracing.io, sort of a standards-based tracing, is that either you can use it through tracked fields, which Boomi has, to sort of monitor things as they move through your Boomi ecosystem and beyond, or if you need something a little bit more advanced, and you integrate it with something like Datadog or something like that, so you can actually get a graphical view. Like, seeing the event portal shows you the power of actually visualizing solutions. And you sort of see branching out of what this message interacts with along the way. But I think that is a huge gap. The event portal addresses sort of the architecture, but the design time. I think there's more work to be done in terms of standardizing approaches to the runtime tracing of messages. So great question, Pollux, but I think it's great.
Yeah, and Pollux, I hope this answers the questions, and feel free to, like, if you have any further follow-up questions or anything, either tweet us on Twitter at Solace Devs, or join the Solace community if you have any Solace-related questions, or you could also join the Boomi community on Boomiverse if you have any Boomi-related questions. So with the interest of time, I will go ahead and give it to you, Jesse, so we can see what we can do on the IoT side of things. So I will share your screen.
Sure, and this, to be said, this is not a Python or really even a Jesse programming show, so I'll be brief. I think the main things I want to highlight are that we're using Python script. This is sort of the antithesis of a low-code environment. This is an easier code environment than C++, but it's certainly high code. But you can see that we have a standardized class. Paho is available from anywhere, and just by importing Paho, the MQTT client, gives you access into the Solace broker with perhaps 4 lines of code. It gives you all the capability of Python, sort of all the modules available within Python. But then as we move from Python into Solace, then we move into Boomi, we sort of migrate into the low-code coding environment. So the Solace and Boomi create this bridge that allows you to move from a pretty technical world into a very sort of developer-friendly world in a few short steps. I described the IoT device a little bit earlier. It's an Arduino board that has some heartbeat sensors on it. You can see them hooked up to my wrist right now, and essentially what it does is it's a serial connection into the computer. Python handles the decoding of the serial data. And then down here, what we do is we have, and I should probably have this hidden, but we have like some connection information, including the endpoint on the Solace broker, a username and password, and that's all you really need to connect into the Solace broker. And here we're just creating a very simple JSON message that contains essentially the information that was in the schema that Tamimi just somehow came up with earlier in the presentation. And that's pretty much it. So what I'll do now is I'll start it on. What we'll be sending information from my computer over into the Solace broker,
Nice.
which is in the cloud. I believe it's up in, where is it? Virginia?
It's in Virginia, yeah. So when I set up my account, it's set up in Virginia.
Virginia, and then Boomi. I don't know where the Boomi data center is, but we're sort of geographically moving across multiple different regions.
Very good point, Jesse, that you bring up. We are, all three of us right now are geographically in different regions. I set up the broker to be running on an instance, on a cloud instance in Virginia. Jesse near Boston is sending the events directly to the Solace broker instance that I've set up using the topic hierarchy that I used. Jesse, your new lines, Unix and Windows new lines were showing up in the previous one. So this is a comment from Aaron. And we also do have another question that is IoT related regarding security. I could touch base on this really quick before you send the events. So from a healthcare data perspective, security and privacy are very important. It was mentioned that topic hierarchy can be used to lock down access. What other security measures are available? Definitely, the security is one of the very cool things that you can do with, from a Solace perspective, from access rights and access controls, that you can specify particular users that could publish or subscribe on a particular hierarchy, on a defined hierarchy. And we have more details on a security perspective that I can touch on during the call. So if you have any further questions, feel free to ask, and I will definitely jump in and answer this. Jesse, what are we seeing now on your screen?
This is my heartbeat.
This is your heartbeat, okay.
Calm for doing a live demo here. You can see, as we're scrolling, each new line on the screen is, in fact, a message that's being sent over MQTT to Solace.
So now things are being sent to the Solace side, right?
They are, yeah, and they're technically being published to move over here. The heartbeat sensor does pick up quite a bit of static. So if you see my heart rate spike here, it's not that I'm super nervous. It's that we're getting a little static.
Okay.
But you can see that I'm publishing. Yeah, maybe I'll pull it up on this side.
Yeah. So
I'm
you are
publishing to this topic,
right?
Yeah, which is matching, the sort of topic hierarchy that we defined earlier. And so, as opposed to sort of the generic parameters that you set up within the event portal. This is the region ID. I assign myself region ID 34. My gender is male, and this is my particular client ID.
That's interesting because
so
we could check this out as well from the Solace side. And this is the hierarchy that you chose to send on.
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I could go ahead and kind of like show you as well from the Solace side of things on like how we could subscribe to these events using a Try Me tab. So Jesse, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Great.
Awesome. So back to my Solace Cloud console. So if I go to my messaging service, and Jesse is still running his IoT, there's a little Try Me tab over here that you could use to try things out. So if I click on it, you'll see that there's a publisher and a subscriber that allows me to connect to my particular broker. So I want to connect to my broker on the subscriber side of things, and I want to subscribe to a topic hierarchy. It's called Heartbeat. So I want to highlight a little bit about this topic hierarchy structure. So we're using wildcards. You can check out the different wildcards that we have with Solace. And what I'm doing here is I want to subscribe to Heartbeat and any other level or any other topic level that comes after it. So let's go ahead and subscribe to this. I'll see that right now I am getting events from Jesse that's coming on a regular basis. And check out the payload. this is the payload that Jesse is sending, and you can see that the timestamp is changing every once in a while, and so this is real data that is coming. So now the first part of our whiteboarded architecture is done, basically, where Jesse is sending his heartbeat to a Solace broker, which is pretty fantastic. So what I want to do now is just, before I pass it on to Tommy to configure things on the Solace side of things, Jesse, you can go ahead and stop the IoT sensor from your end, so that I'm setting up a queue on the Solace side. So what I want all this data to come in a queue, on a queue in the Solace broker. So I can go into my messaging service, and so this is my cloud management console, and I want to go into my broker management console. So you can see it is the menu at the top right, where if I click on it, I go into the broker management console, where I could do a bunch of different configurations, whether I want to do message VPNs, client connections, queues. I had the previous question where we had from Elzer. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You could do a lot of access control and privacy stuff in configure it into your message broker. So this is something that you can do. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a queue. In that queue, I'm gonna call that queue Boomi. And I want that queue to subscribe to the topic hierarchy structure that we defined. So I'm going to go delve into that queue. You can see at the top here, there's a menu. There's an option called subscription. If I click on it, I could go ahead and add a subscription over here from this button. And the subscription that I want to do is heartbeat and a wildcard. So similar to what I did in my Try Me tab. So create this. Now what I just created is a queue on the Solace broker, and that queue is called Boomi. And the queue subscribes to a particular topic, which is a heartbeat hierarchy over here. Now, what we want to do on the Boomi integration side of things, we will configure a Solace connector to bind to that queue, and anything in the queue will go into the Solace connector. So, Tommy, I'm going to pass it to you. But before we jump in, any questions from you both on what we have? And I'm checking some of the questions on the channel. People are answering, which is great. There's a conversation that is happening back and forth. So if we don't have anything, we could jump right into you, Tommy, and you could kind of give us an overview on what's happening on the Boomi side of things.
Before we jump into Tommy, maybe we got a couple of things from Andrew Mishalov, who's part of the Boomi community. He's asking us to take it on the road, this little presentation, the virtual road, of course. I think that'd be awesome. We'll connect and make it happen, and we'll figure out a way to get it down to 30 minutes. Maybe we'll just talk really fast. Or maybe talk less. Maybe talk less about my hair. Maybe that would be an essential thing to cut out of the
something we can do. For sure.
Coding examples. Coding examples. A lot of the stuff. Tamimi has a great code lab that's available. I think now, right, Tamimi?
Yeah, I do. So we have something called codelabs.solace.dev. Go ahead, Jesse, if you wanted to talk about that.
And a lot of this stuff, it doesn't incorporate some of Tommy's cool flow stuff, but talks about the basics of integrating the two and the queues and subscriptions and all that. And then I'm sure we'll figure out a way to get Tommy's code up here too, because I think it's awesome.
Right.
So yeah, sorry. Back to you, Tommy. I wanted to hop in and talk to a couple of comments.
Thanks for pointing this out, Jesse, because now what I did on the Solace side of things, from configuring the Solace broker, from signing up to a cloud account and setting up the queue, is shown in this code lab, which you could check it out on codelabs.solace.dev. And also whatever Tommy is going to be doing will also be shown, is also highlighted in this code lab, from the configuring the setting up your Boomi atmosphere side of things, and going through this. So Tommy, I will pass it to you, and
Awesome.
we could take it from there.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So I'm gonna share your screen.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Cool. Is this zoomed in enough for you guys to see? Just making sure that's
Yep. If you
you're
can
able to
zoom
see that.
in a little bit more, that would be great.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How's that? One more?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. All right. So we would go to platform.boomi.com, and that's where you would sign in. And
Mhm.
once you sign into our platform, this is what you're presented with, minus these 5 folders. So what we're going to do is create a new process. And our process is going to use the Solace connector, and we are going to pull in that live data. So first, I'm going to create a new folder so that everything's nice and neat. Let's go ahead and say Solace Heartbeat. Save that.
And by the way, while you set this up, Tommy, you could see, anyone could see us on the on the screen. You could try Boomi for free and sign up for your account on the website down below on the screen on boomi.com form trial. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, and we're going to create a new process, new component, and we will call this get heartbeat data. And then this is our blank canvas. So from here is where you will add shapes, create your workflow, what you want to have done, and there are a lot of options. But first, we know we want to grab data from Solace. So we'll start with a connector as our start shape. And if I scroll down, actually, let me just go real quickly. You see, this is actually, these are some of our branded connectors that Boomi has. Quite a lot. And also, these branded connectors aren't your only option. If an endpoint has an API using Boomi, you can connect.
Mm-hmm.
We have REST APIs and SOAP APIs. So we have a SOAP connector and we have an HTTP connector, web service connections, just about anything that you could think of, you're going to be able to connect using Boomi. So you
Right.
don't have to have a specific connection.
And this might be a good time to sort of interject just a little bit, talk about the release schedule for the Solace connector. Somebody asked, when is this coming out? Right now, it looks like it's going to be towards the end of this month. This month is now July, if you're watching a recording. And then we're actually using this demonstration a sort of a pre-release version that allows more interaction with the event portal. That said, we have copies of it. If you want it, contact us. We'll get you either the standard version that's coming out soon, the sort of more advanced version with the event portal. Don't let that sort of detract or stop you from using the Solace connector. We'll get it to you. We'll work with you to make sure that you get the interaction that you need. So back to you, Tom.
Yes. No, that is good information. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and create using the Solace PubSub. We're going to listen. And then this is how easy Boomi lets you connect to things, is that we're going to set up our connection to Solace. And it's just going to be a matter of enter your credentials. And that's it.
And before the call, I gave Tommy the credentials of my broker that I set up, that like I showed you earlier. And you can get this credentials from the Connect tab on your messaging service that has the host, message VPN, client username and password. And you could generate an event portal token as well from your Solace Cloud.
Yes. So here I'm just going to copy and paste those credentials you gave me, Tamimi. Thank you.
Awesome.
And username, password. As you see, it's all encrypted here. So we're going to click and set the password in there. And then the token, which is long. Let me make sure I'm getting the whole thing.
Right. And these, like the token is generated from your Solace Cloud, from the Solace Cloud account. And the reason why we want to generate a token over here to have a harmonious integration between the Solace connector and the Boomi integration and the Solace broker, because you saw, I showed you earlier how we designed the application using the event portal. We defined the event and we defined the payload schema of the event. So we want to have this seamless integration between what we design in the event portal and what Tommy is showing us from the connector side of things.
Right. And I'm going to go ahead and click save here.
Mm-hmm.
And what we can do is come up here to this little test connection. And I'm going to choose, so I have a local atom that I have installed.
Right.
This is a part of our on-premise to cloud scenario. Boomi is a cloud native platform. So everything is available on the cloud. We have our own atoms. But this is just a small little runtime that you can install and will allow the platform to communicate with your system. But so I have a local atom here that I'm just going to test, and the connection is successful.
Awesome.
So
That's great.
now we have a connection. And something we are interested in is this is where the logic happens.
So you have the connection. Where in the connection do you configure that it needs to bind to a particular queue that we defined earlier? So you configured the connection. Is there a way where you could configure like what you want to do with the connection?
Yes. So this is going to be the operation, is where we're going to connect into that specific queue.
All right.
So we've got our mode here in the Solace connection. And we're going to pick, I believe that's persisted transacted.
Yep. That's fantastic.
And the destination.
That's the name of the queue, which is Boomi.
Boomi.
Right. Nice.
And we'll go ahead and leave the batch side and batch size and that kind of stuff as standard. I'll save.
And there's an import button over here. Yeah.
Yep. We'll go to this import button, and we're going to import that schema, the JSON schema, using the connection that we just created. And you can filter those out here, or we'll just go ahead and click next, and you can see the different schemas that we have available.
Yeah. This is all these schemas are in the default application domain that comes with your Solace Cloud, but we created one event which is called the heartbeat. I think this is the one that we. I would assume that this is the one that we want.
Yeah. So we'll click heartbeat.
Nice.
And click next, and that will bring in our JSON schema. We'll go ahead and click finish, and then here you'll be able to see it. So this is the object, and here's age, client ID, heartbeat.
Nice. This is what we defined in the event portal.
Yes, everything's here for you. You don't have to manage that or set it up yourself. You can if you want, but yes, this is the good way of doing
this. Is pretty neat because once, yes, we've designed a simple architecture, but once architecture gets complicated in size and grows, then there will be a lot of different objects, a lot of different schemas that are defined going back and forth between architects and developers. And so there's different components that are playing around, where the event portal is a one-stop shop for designing your architecture and having this seamless communication between your architects and the designers and the developers as well, in all over the event portal.
Yes. Cool. I also wanted to point out down here at the bottom, the topic subscription. So it shows your heartbeat, the region ID, the gender, the client ID, what you had entered in Solace.
Yeah, you're right.
Brings it all right into the Boomi platform and is available for you here. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and so now we have our connection. Notice how it says confirm process options. There are a lot of different options you can have here, but something we're going to do is click to allow simultaneous executions.
Right.
So this is a listener. So this is going to allow the process to execute simultaneously as many times as that heartbeat monitor is going to hit or Solace is going to hit that listener. But yeah, so here's where some of that logic is going to come in. And I'm going to put a branch shape here because I know the first thing we want to do is connect into that healthcare system and get what that heartbeat threshold should be.
Right, and I want to quickly show the whiteboard
to come into here, and I'm
we
using
have
our search. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of shapes over here, execute logic and connect. A lot of our connectors over here. I'm going to pull in a database connector. I'm going to.
So you're doing the
That's
database.
One of the coolest things about Boomi, similar to the event portal. Seeing something like that Tamimi put on a whiteboard, an hour ago, actually be translated into computer code, not with lines and lines of code, but like seeing it graphically is really, really cool. And one of the funnest things about working with Boomi, I feel like.
Yeah.
So here I'm going to bring in a database. It's set up the exact same way. You just enter your credentials, your username, your password, the host of the database. This is actually hosted on Amazon. This is an Amazon AWS MySQL database that we have up and running. So, and over here, you've got your different types. So it's not limited to MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, SAP HANA, just all kinds. So I went ahead and entered this information in, test the connection. And then we're going to go ahead and create an operation to get our database information. And what we can do is do the same thing, but with your database.
Nice.
So I have my statement. It's a select statement, and I'm going to import using that local atom that I have downloaded and installed. And I'm going to connect using that database connection. And let's leave it there, and then we can show everything. So this is actually going into that database and pulling in the schemas that are available all in that database. So you can come in here and say, I'm looking for my key heart rates, and click next. I want to bring in all of those, and click next and finish. And just like that, you've got your database profile, and it's connected to your database. You don't have to set up the profile, make sure everything's spelled correctly, the right case sensitive, that kind of stuff. You just imported it and it's right there. Now, something I am going to do is, you've noticed we've got a SQL script here. So it even brought in your SQL script. But we can also add to that if you would like. I'm going to say where, leave full name, and there. And I'm going to enter in a parameter. This will allow me to use a parameter in the SQL. So if I'm looking into this field or the schema, I want to pull this information where the full name equals a particular name that we're going to give it. And that's our database. I'll go ahead and create the properties. I'm going to create this document property. So what I'm doing right now is just creating that parameter. Name. And here we're going to put together some things. So I'm going to, if we have a profile element and it's coming in. So this is our Solace data that's coming in. And I'm going to grab the patient's first name. I'm going to add a comma delimiter.
Nice, and that's the schema that we defined earlier that you just imported from the event portal and you have
Yes.
available here. So you didn't need to define your own schema again from scratch, basically, because you have the schema already imported from the event portal that we designed.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Right
actually pretty
here,
neat.
able to be used throughout the process.
Nice. Yeah, and you have access to it in any other shape and any other connector. You have access to the schema.
Yes, any other shape, any other connector, any other process. It's
Nice.
here in the folder, so I can come into any of these folders and access it.
Neat.
Should I need to.
Yeah.
But here I'm going to set this parameter, the full name parameter. And I'm going to give it that property that I created.
Quick question for you, Tommy.
Yes.
Is the full name stored in the database as Menning, comma Jesse, or is it Jesse, comma Menning?
It is Jesse, comma Menning.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure because that's the order that you set the property.
Right.
My first name first. Got it.
Yeah. So here, we're going to get the data from Solace. We're going to set the full name as the parameter and look up that information based off that name. And the next thing we're going to do is cache that data because we want to be able to use that data later on in the process. So here the profile is going to be a database profile, and what we're bringing in is the profile that we already set up. And we're going to look up based off of, let's look up based off of the name. So here's that database profile that we set up. And we're going to say that we're going to look up the information based off of the name. And that's that. Let me give this a new name here. Beat key rate. I'm going to throw that over there. And now the next, I know we want to, I'll go into the execute tab because I know we want to compare the heart rate data that's coming in to the data that we have to make sure that that's not going over a particular limit. So here I have a map shape, and this is where a lot of Boomi logic is going to happen. All your data transformation mostly is going to happen in a map shape. And I can show you what's going to happen here, but we have our map, and we're going to take our JSON profile that's coming from Solace, and we want to pass that in. Actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me add another database connector because this is where we want to pass the data into. And I'm going to use this.
Nice. That's pretty neat. You could just like drag and drop.
Yeah, and
do
in
a lot
the
of configuration.
I was just say in the folders. I don't know if you notice. Yeah, so it's just one folder here.
Yeah.
You can just bring everything in. This is set up the exact same way.
Oh, okay, nice.
Already had
That's
it set
neat.
up. This is actually using a, if you look at the statement, this is a dynamic insert. So I don't have to have the SQL written out here. I just tell it what table it's going to input into. So in our connection, we told it what database we want to connect to. And then I say, put this data into this table. And that's all you have to enter. no SQL script or anything like that. Just nice and simple. So that's where we want to enter our data into from Solace. If I go back into this map, so we're getting our data from Solace. I know I want to put it in our database. So we're going to go from a JSON structure to a database structure.
Nice.
And all we do is just drag that over. And now age is going to go into our database.
That's pretty neat. It's just drag and drop, and you'll do the same thing for all the other parts.
We also have this button up here for the Boomi Suggest. So if I click on this, it will tell me high confidence matches of where it thinks we want to map things. So we'll go through this and say, we'll just go ahead and click next and finish. And now everything's mapped for us. Some of these
Neat.
I'm going to get rid of because I don't need them. So age is mapped to age, client ID, heartbeat is mapped to heart rate, patient first name is mapped to first name, region ID to region ID, tracking good to tracking good. I didn't have to sit here and drag and drop all of that. I just went to Boomi Suggest, and it used some data that we have that allows us to map what we think your source profile and what we think your destination profile should be.
Tommy, I'm gonna cut you off just a little bit. We have a question on YouTube that was from the Solace side of things. So it was like, what is the message VPN parameter in Solace? I will quickly show you on my end. You will see. So this is my screen. On when you go to your Solace Cloud console, you access your messaging service, and there's a Connect tab over here. You click on it, and then you can get some information about your broker. You could also check out the messaging service when you go into the broker configuration, the broker management console in specific, where you have some like message VPN here. So you could set up multiple message VPNs. I know the naming convention might be a bit confusing, but the idea behind this is you can segment different compartments in your message broker where messages could go in. So you would need the message VPN username and password to connect to a broker. So Tommy, back to you, and I hope I answered your question, Sarvish. And if you want any follow up on this, feel free to ask on the chat as well, and I'll jump in and ask you and answer some of your questions as well. So Tommy, your screen is shared right now.
Cool. Yeah. So here in the functions, so you notice that we don't have a full name, and we don't have a level or a timestamp. The full name, I'm going to go ahead and create a function. And I think, yes. So I have a function that I already created that I'm going to use. This is a user-defined function, but these are different map functions that you can use to help transform your data. We've got string functions, append, prepend, remove, lowercase. We've got numeric functions, subtract, multiply, divide, sum. We've got date functions, getting the format or changing the format. We've got lookup functions, which I'll show you a little later. This is looking up data that we might have stored elsewhere in the process. We can create simple lookups. So just create something, if this says yes, then change this to say no. We can do connector lookups. You can actually put a connector in your map to look up from outside sources. And this is low code for sure, but we do have the option, if you want, that you can go ahead and add some scripting. But we'll go ahead and I'll put this.
Tommy, quick question. What scripting language do you guys support?
Right now, Groovy and JavaScript.
Nice.
We allow, and I can show you a little bit of that because I did put a one-line script in here that I will show you. So I already went ahead and created this function, but what I did was I clicked on this add function and I added a concat piece. and I am concatenating the first name and the last name. And then I'm going to look up, and I did change this cache. So this I'm going to change. But I've got our cache here, the heartbeat key rate cache. So this is where we're storing the data that we pulled from the database to look up against. And we said that we were going to use the name to look up with. And what we're interested in is that maximum heart rate. Because we want to make sure Jesse's heart rate isn't over this maximum rate.
What rate is that set at, Tommy?
Right now, I believe that is set at 180.
I would say put it at 50.
180. All right. Well, there's an earlier question about whether I'm going to go out and do some burpees and some push-ups.
Yeah.
Absolutely yes. If I have to do that to push my heart rate above, was it 180?
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
All right. Yep. I will absolutely do that. So it's a shout out to Eugene. Yes, I will.
Yeah, Eugene from Twitch was like, well, he wants Jesse to do burpees, push-ups, wrap it up. It's happening. We're gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it will happen.
Tommy, while we're answering questions, you're doing some configurations right now on the Boomi side. I remember previously you showed some configuration from simultaneous execution. So we have a question on YouTube. It was like, should we use allow simultaneous execution for real-time scenario in Boomi using Solace connector? Or like with the Solace connector, for example, just handle this real-time data that comes in.
Solace will handle the real-time data that comes in.
Right.
I selected to allow simultaneous executions in case that particular listener got executed at the same time.
Right.
This is going to run very quickly in a matter of 1 to 2 seconds.
Right.
And with the amount of data that we're bringing in, I allowed simultaneous executions just in case it got hit at the same time.
Right. No, this is great. And the same person asked a question about what actions are supported by Solace connector and Boomi. And Jesse, feel free to pitch in on this after. But I was like, you can do the basic PubSub. So right now we're configuring the Solace connector to listen and bind to a queue to get the data. We could also configure the Solace connector and the Boomi integration side of things to publish back to the broker on a particular topic hierarchy. Jesse, do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, if you want to do a get sort of mid process, we also support a get. In other words, the process isn't kicked off by a message, but if you want to sort of enhance the data by getting more data from a queue mid-flow, you can do that. That's also very helpful if you want to do sort of an async request reply sort of scenario.
And I know in future
lots
versions,
of different things.
In future versions, we're going to be able to even like have a functionality to like acknowledge some data that's being received. Let's say that you want to receive data from the Solace side. You want to do a bunch of different steps on the Boomi integration side of things, and you only want to acknowledge that the steps whether successful after a particular set of steps, then you could send an ACK back to an ACK action back to the Solace connector, back to the Solace broker. But this is kind of like in future versions coming up. So like stay tuned on what are the different things you can do. And of course, you could start a conversation on Solace community. So we have people who start different conversations in our Solace community about other topics. So you could start a Boomi related topic over there, and we'll be chiming in from internally at Solace to answer your questions, and also anyone from the community who knows these answers the answer to the question will chime in as well. So Tommy, back to you.
Yeah. Here is an example of a simple script that I added just to show that we are able to add scripts within your process if you would like. This is our script editor, so Groovy 1.5, 2.4, and JavaScript are the languages that we support here. So I just put that in to say, hey, is the heart rate less than the maximum rate? If it is, good. If it's not less than the maximum rate, then say it's high. Just a simple little script that I added there to show that it is capable. Save and close that. So we bring in our first name and our last name because that's what we're concatenating, and our heartbeat that we compare. And then I'm going to map our full name and whether it's high or low here. I'm also going to add a quick function, a date function, or sorry, no. I'm going to add a custom script function here to show a little more about that. And if I come over here, because I have, so I noticed the date, the generated time there is coming in milliseconds. So what I wanted to do was put that in a date format and send it into our database with a particular format. I'm going to put there. And this is something that I wanted to show. So if we go to the help side and go to our community, this is our Boomiverse, our Boomi community, where you can access anything that customers are talking about. Employees are putting things on here, different things to know. Maybe a customer did something and they think it's really cool, so they put it on here. But I noticed this is coming in milliseconds, so maybe if I just wanted to say, hey, convert date from millisecond. I'll go ahead and search here. It's going a little slowly. But I'll go ahead and come back to here.
Live demo. Live demo.
Finish.
In the meantime, I'm pretty sure Jesse is doing burpees and push-ups. Is that correct, Jesse?
Okay.
I need a good baseline. Then I'll amp it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna jinx this, and I'm not gonna win. But we have cleared a lot of hurdles without having anything go wrong to this point. So
yeah, especially for something that we're doing.
Driving on home.
Live. Fantastic. It goes to show you how drag and drop things are easy to configure and set up. So far we haven't done like a lot of coding all except the scripting side of things from Boomi, where you want to do some like simple manipulation of the data. We set up the IoT side of things as well to connect to a Solace broker. So far it's been showing a lot of integrations, a lot of different things getting together, which is pretty neat.
Let's see if that finished. Whoops, wrong. There we go. So that did load, and here we can say, hey, this is converting between Unix epoch time, and hey, here's that code that I used. Nice. So you can come on to the community and just find all sorts of information. And I believe this was actually put up. Yeah, so this was put up from a member. It was not put up from Santosh. Yeah. So this wasn't lots of information that you can use the Boomiverse for.
Are you eating chips, Tamimi? It's got a lot of crunching in there.
Oh yeah, I had a chips on the side. I was like, okay, I might as well eat chips.
Come on, man. We talked about that. We talked about the no chips during the live coding event rule.
That is true. He's the chips.
That's like the number one rule of live coding: no chips. You could have like some bread. You could have chips.
Eating.
Sorry, Tommy. Back to you.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is our process right here. We're grabbing stuff from Solace. We are bringing in heart rates from our database. We're going to cache that information. We're going to compare the heart rates coming from Solace and what we brought in from our database. And then we're going to send that information along to a new database. And yeah, this in a matter of half an hour, 20 minutes, you've got a process that's bringing in information, doing some transformation, and sending it along. Something that we're going to do now is deploy this process so that it is listening to that Solace queue. And I'm going to go ahead and go to our deploy tab up here. We've got our packaged components. This is a new feature that Boomi has, where you are going to be allowed to or able to deploy different versions, maintain versions of a process, maintain versions of packages of processes. So the one thing I'm going to do is say, here's our Solace heartbeat process. And I'm going to add some details. I'm just going to call this version 1. And then I want to deploy this, and I want to deploy it to my prod environment here. I want to deploy version 1. That's what I just created. And deploy that. So here in, I'll close. If I go to Atom Management, our Atom is what's allowing us to communicate to the Boomi platform.
Right.
And that's the small little lightweight Java runtime environment. We'll go ahead and you can install an Atom, and that's what's going to run. Now, you can download, this is in the cloud. Everything, Atom's maintained by Boomi. This is our Atom Cloud. It will allow cloud to cloud, cloud to on-prem, whatever you need to have happen. I installed a local Atom, and this allows the Boomi platform to communicate directly wherever I have that local Atom installed. So that's my actual laptop. Very lightweight. And so if I go into this Atom, see I have a cloud and a local Atom on this environment. Go into my listeners here. Start this listener. Oh.
So this is the Solace connector.
Yes.
And when we configured it, we put the credentials for it, and we're able to connect to the broker itself. Trying to see here what would be the issues.
Can you get an error message from the listener itself, Tommy?
Yeah, let me see what that is.
In the
Typically
meantime,
when it happens, it's because the queue doesn't exist. Unknown queue.
Unknown queue.
So usually that's a mismatch between the name in the connector operation and what's exactly up and running on Tamimi's side. So maybe we'll examine
later. Let me go back to that and see what.
Go back to the configuration on your this one. Let's see what's the name of the queue that you put over there. Okay. So I'll show you my. This is my broker. So it's a lowercase b.
Yes. Lowercase
so
b.
That's good. And this is actually a very good point that you brought up. We did the configuration on the Solace side, so do it lowercase b, and it shows you how we could figure out what the error message is. In a future version of the connector, and Tommy, you're gonna like this. you wouldn't need to create the queue on the Solace side. Once you configure your broker on the, once you configure your connector on the Boomi side of things, whatever queue you write in there will automatically be created as well on this other side. So let's
if it
go ahead
doesn't
and,
exist, all right.
if it doesn't exist, yeah, if it doesn't exist, we'll go ahead and create it. So what Tommy did right now is you went in and right away. I just want to do a quick point. So this is my queue. So it'll show you here that the number of consumers, 0. There's no connected consumers to this queue. So keep this in mind. We're coming back to this in a bit.
Right. Let me deploy this with the correct.
While this is deploying with the correct queue name, we had a question on YouTube. Can you talk about message persistence and acknowledgements, ensuring certified messages and no message loss? So yes, message persistence on the Solace broker. This is something that is handled from the Solace broker side of things. So there's different things you could do for message persistence. Right now, we configured a queue on the Solace broker, so that all the messages that are being sent on that topic will go to that queue, and the message will not leave the queue up until they're acknowledged. So when they're being consumed from the connector, they'll acknowledge, they will leave the queue. So right now you showed us something, Tommy, that it's connected, yeah?
Yes, yeah, okay. It is connected and running.
I will share my screen, and you can see here right now I have one consumer that is connected to that queue. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. So going from here, did we want to set up the flow to show?
Yes, please. Let's go ahead and set up the flow for this one.
Yeah. So Boomi has lots of products, and integration is our main product for sure. But if we go up here and go into our services, we can see we have integration. We've got Master Data Hub, which is going to allow us to maintain data.
Right.
A key use case I use is if you've got, I think of a retail environment, and you've got a particular shoe, and you've got 10 different stores that sell this shoe, but you want to make sure the description is the same for all of these stores. Master Data Hub will allow you to enter in that description, and then anytime there's a change to that shoe through your integration that's connected through Boomi, that data is passed from Master Data Hub. And it's so you only have to make the change to the description of the shoe in one place in Master Data Hub, and that will change in all 10 stores that it's connected to. So bringing all your information into one easily managed spot.
Nice.
API management for creating APIs, and then flow. And this is our UI program that we're going to use here. If I go ahead,
right.
Click.
So what do you have in mind to create a UI? Like, are we going to take the data, the heartbeat data, and just present it in some sort of like table, or
Yes.
what do you have in mind for that?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do here. And
oh, nice. We're great mind things alike.
Yeah. So I didn't make sure I got my password right. Yes. So here I've got a lot of tenants, obviously, working at Boomi for a while now. But I do have the tenant I want to use open in this window over here. Let me close this one. Yes. So what I'm going to do is create a new flow. And what I want to do is display the data that we just grabbed from Solace and we entered into that database, acting like a healthcare worker that's sitting there managing this data. So if I'm going to create a new flow, and that flow was created here. I'm going to edit this, and this is drag and drop as Boomi was. So if I expand this over here, we've got our start shape. Always starts with a start shape, and we'll ignore this over here right now because that we'll use that a little later. This flow went to work for me. So I'll drag and drop a page shape onto the canvas. Let me refresh this.
So now you got into this kind of like flow menu.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, from your Boomi atmosphere, a bit like from the Boomi integration side.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
I was in Boomi integration services
Right.
and flow.
Right. Nice. And while we're getting this configured, we got a question as well on YouTube. Can we dynamically get messages from Solace Message Broker queues from Boomi? And the answer is yes. And this is done. I hope I get your question correctly, but from the topic hierarchy structure. So you can see on when we configured the queue on the Solace side. So this is kind of my Solace broker. So you can see the subscription tab over here for the queue. I am getting all events that have a topic hierarchy of heartbeat higher than, greater than. So this is kind of like a dynamic, a wild card that gets all the topics after all the topic hierarchy on all the messages on that topic hierarchy. So I hope that was the question you're asking for. So Tommy, back to you.
Sure. So this is our canvas for Boomi Flow. And what we're going to do is drag a page element. And the page is going to basically be what shows up on the screen whenever you access your flow. So we're going to create a new page layout. I'm just going to call it a new page. And over here, this left bar, I'm going to let's drag a presentation element. So this is going to be what we present to you whenever you first see the flow. I'm going to say welcome. Welcome to the heartbeat information. Save that. Basically, this is allowing us to create React and CSS code without having to do the code. I'm going to create a table element, and this is where I'm going to grab the information from that database. Now, what I did earlier was use Flow, and I created a service. And in the service, I'm connecting to the database that we sent our information from Solace to. So here's that database service. And it is just like Boomi, where it's just a matter of entering your credentials. Enter the database name, the schema, the type, the host. And once you enter all that information and save the service, now all of that information from the database is available to you in Flow to use. So if I come back to my page, this is going to be our heartbeat data. And I'm going to say this is going to be searchable. I'm going to select a type. So this is the database tables that are in there from my service. They're available for me to use throughout my flow. So I will go ahead and get this information from the service, the all workout database table. I'm going to save this information, and then I'm going to just add the columns that I want to show in my table. So let's say I want to show a name. And we will want to see the heart rate. And let's say that we want to see the level, whether it's high or not. Level. Yes. Any other information that you think we might want to put in there?
So you have the
I think that's
first
good, man.
name. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Mhm.
Yeah, name, age. Do I have the age? Let's put the age in there. I don't know if I did it or not.
I don't know if I want my age so heavily advertised.
Here, we'll get rid of that.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll save this. Yeah, save this component. Save here. Save this page. Oh, I forgot to call it. Give it a name. Let's say welcome. And then we'll drag this start shape over to this page. There we go. I'm just going to call it go. And that's your flow. So whenever you run this, I'll go ahead and run it, and then we'll see just what exactly it's going to show. So this is going to be your UI and flow, and you can use a particular URL that it gives you, and you just enter that in. But see, it hasn't run yet. Our data from Solace hasn't been picked up, but welcome to the heartbeat information, and then this will be the table that shows that information.
So Tommy, question about like,
Yeah.
can we override the age with 25? And I think with the map functionality, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
In
You
Boomi. So like you could say if name is Jesse, automatically put name age 25, and if name is Mark, put age like 52 or something. So you could do
that in Boomi.
Yeah.
You could do that in Boomi, but you could also do it here in Flow.
Oh, nice.
This is connected to
right.
so this is
Look at
connected to that database.
Right.
And because I made it editable, when this comes in, I could edit a particular table, and then I could add another a save button here, and then that would save to the database. So I could edit the database here within Flow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
my
actually
vanity is not worth extending. It's scope creep, really. My vanity is not worth scope creep on this project. Thank you so much.
But yeah, so that's the flow.
Nice.
If we want to, I don't know if you wanted to show a couple things.
Yeah, we could go ahead and like test it out. We could do this. So there's two things that I have in mind for this. We could do it really quick and show you something that we could do. So on the yeah, I'll show my screen really quick. On the message on the Solace Cloud console, management console, so you could go to the Try Me tab. Remember where we subscribed to the broker and added like a subscription. We could also publish to the broker with the same subscription. So I'm going to publish using a heartbeat, and then put like any actually, like we could put like literally anything in here. And if I want to put like, you know, mail, and then put another ID in here, because the topic, the queue subscribes to anything after heartbeat. So now if I send this and I put like first name Tamimi, age 72, keep the region ID, and heartbeat I'll keep it to 240. So I can connect.
Quick question on this is what happens if we send in, like I assume that there's no target heart rate for Tamimi. What happens if we don't pull back a target heart rate?
There is actually.
Oh.
Well.
Oh, interesting.
So there is, but also, if there was no target heart rate, that would pull in. It wouldn't pull anything back from the connector when we first looked up, because Tamimi wouldn't necessarily be in there right away. when it goes to look up that information in the map shape, we would potentially see an error because the cache shape didn't execute correctly. And then that would show up to us in our process reporting page, and we'd be able to figure out where exactly that error happened and why.
Nice. So I'll go ahead and publish it.
I would embrace you as amending anytime, Tamimi.
Yeah.
Let's keep it Jesse so we can.
That's a good good call. Good call. So yeah, I'll do it. We'll keep this. This is the payload. So I will publish this. So now it's oh, actually I'm not connected yet to the broker. So now what I got to do is I published 2 messages to the broker. And Tommy, I'm going to share your screen. So let's see what we can do as well from this side.
See if sorry guys, my laptop is running a little slowly right now.
No worries. And then what we could do as well, Jesse, is you could start your the IoT sensor in a bit, and then we could just we'll send live data to the broker, and we'll see how this could be consumed.
Turn auto refresh on.
And here what we're doing is so you could see that there are messages that are being received on the on the process side of things, basically, right? So what you're showing us here is a process reporting.
Yes, this is process reporting and showing us the listener that's being hit. My laptop is running a little slowly, so part of the reason why it's going at 20 seconds. But yes, so this is the process that's being hit. And then let's see, we would be able to, did you run it twice, it looks like?
Yes, I did. I ran it twice. I published it twice. I did, yes.
So if we click on this timestamp, actually, in process reporting, we'll be able to see all the information of what document hit the connector, where it went. We can actually come into, if I go into successes, I can click this little wheel here and view the document.
And one thing, there we go.
Yeah,
one thing to point out, when we're dealing with real-time processes, typically what you want to do is probably enable low latency mode, which is something new coming out from Boomi. But because we're serving a test environment, it's really nice coming from a developer point of view to be able to see the data every step along the way and sort of be able to troubleshoot that way.
Yeah.
So production, low latency, you'd be getting faster. Maybe we wouldn't be using Tommy's laptop in production, but for now, this is being we'll talk about it offline. We'll talk about the budgets.
Okay, sweet. This is fantastic. So yeah, this is great. So like we showed you how we could use the Try Me tab on the Solace side of things and like do this like end-to-end connection with all that. And we also set up Flow to kind of read data from the database and show that as well on a front-end table. What we could do is have the moment.
Can we get the Flow goodness?
Yeah, I might be able to refresh this, and those 2 tables should be in there now.
Oh, nice! Look at that.
So they did hit the database, and they're coming in through Flow, and yeah, this is those 2 records that you just sent.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And they're high, so you're doing some strenuous activity there.
Yeah.
Or I was when we cached off the data.
Right.
So no, this is great. So like what I could show you right now here is. We did these steps is we configured the Solace broker, like Jesse Solace broker. We configured the Boomi integration, and we had the Flow side of things as well. So this is pretty neat. We also tested from Solace all the way to Flow using the Try Me tab. Now let's do, if I have another color, I would say let's do from Jesse all the way to Flo, and do this in real time and figure it out. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. That was a bit of the chips that I was eating. So like I took it out. You realize I had to take it out.
Can you position the chip so it looks like my hair, Tamimi? I meant the chip fragment, but yeah.
Oops, the camera's going. Anyways, yeah. So,
all right,
Jesse, I will let you. I'll let you go take things.
All right.
Go back into process.
So we're restarting. It's the same stuff that we were doing before.
Yeah. Jesse, yours. I will show your screen right now. So you started it from your end. Okay, cool. So now Jesse's heartbeat is running, and it's sending things to the Solace broker. On the Solace side of things, if I come here and subscribe to a heartbeat topic, I can see that messages are coming in. So this is from the Solace side of things. And Tommy, I'm going to share your screen right now. Yep. We could show us what's happening on the Boomi side.
Go over to the process reporting side. If I refresh this, here are all the messages that we're getting. We've gotten 17 so far.
17 pages of
just 17 processes, not pages yet. Let me refresh that.
Oh no, okay.
Now we've got 20.
Okay.
But yeah, if I come into Flow and view the table, there. Now we've got multiple pages of information coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Here you've got good. This is showing.
Could you zoom in, perhaps?
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Yes. Nice.
There we go. But yeah, this is our information coming in. Multiple tables. 80. See, I did change that. So
you lowered the threshold on me.
I did.
feel like it's kind of unfair, Tommy. We get the point.
Yeah.
And I probably do. I probably should have to the gym. So this is a good reminder for me.
Yeah. So 0 is good.
0 is good. Yeah.
You're clinically dead. You finally hit your mark.
This is great. I'm glad we're able to do a fully end-to-end integration. We literally went from design, from an idea when we first started, to whiteboarding the idea, to architecting the idea on the event portal and putting together different applications, event schema, and the payload, to actually implementing the idea from the Solace side, from the Python side, using MQTT to communicate with the broker, and using the Solace connector on the Boomi integration side of things. So we literally went from the full spectrum and the full cycles, the full steps on coming up with an idea, architecting it, and actually implementing it over like an hour and a half, almost, because the first half an hour is kind of like introductions and things, which is fantastic. So I'm glad that we were able to do this, showcase what we could do using IoT, Solace as an advanced message broker streaming real-time data, and Boomi as an iPaaS platform to connect the event broker and do multiple different integrations. So basically, with the Solace connector on the Boomi integration, it opens us up to a plethora of different integrations that are provided by Boomi, and then you could leverage things like Flow or API management or the other things that you mentioned to take this data and just umbrella it under the Boomi integration, the Boomi ecosystem. So I think that was great. Thank you both for coming up with the ideas and doing all the live coding things, which is great. We have a quick question. Can a Boomi flow be exported so someone could import this into their own Boomi instance if they wanted?
Yes,
Nice.
You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually know how to do that. Can you show that?
Yeah.
Boomi flow or Boomi process? So can you export it?
Either.
Can you answer both? Either.
Yeah.
So I know how to do that.
Yeah, either can be. So Flow, if I come down, I can do an import export.
Nice. Okay. Sweet.
Pick my specific flow. Let me. Anyway, select a particular flow and a generate a sharing token. And then you can copy that token, and then someone else's account, they paste that token down here and click import. It brings that flow into their environment.
That's neat.
Yeah, how does that work with integrate? Because I've wanted to share, like, oh, hey, this is the thing I'm working on. I couldn't get it out of my own desk space, so this would be great for me to know.
In Boomi, if you click this little upside down triangle next to a process or a particular component, but you should be able to say cloned platform or copy. And if I click copy, I can select which account I want to copy it into, change the name, ask, do I want to copy passwords? No. Do I want to copy dependents? So maybe there's different folders that this process relies on. It will copy all of those if this checkbox is checked, and pick a specific folder where you want to place it. And then that goes into their account.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Good to know.
If we have any other questions from the audience, feel free to add them in. But so far, I think the goal of today's live coding session was to showcase this integration, to showcase this end-to-end implementation of Solace connector with Boomi, and basically to event enable your iPaaS infrastructure and even enable your Boomi integrations using an advanced message broker like the Solace broker. So that's pretty much it, what we have. If there's no further questions that are coming in from YouTube or Twitch, we're exactly on time. It's noon on the dot, so that's 2 hours, which is great. Again, I would really like to remind everyone on the streams, whether it's YouTube or Twitch, to join the Solace community, join the Boomiverse community, ask us any questions there, follow us on Twitter at Solace Devs and at Boomi. Ask us any questions there. We're very happy to get your memes or GIFs as well on Twitter, which is great. I'm always on the look for those. And again, Tommy and Jesse, thank you very much for coming into the call right now. And we do have a bunch of different events coming up on our Solace community. So I will show it over here on our community. And you could see, if you scroll down, you can see our upcoming events. We have workshops for that you could sign up to and register, and we have other live coding sessions as well. The next live coding session is a Spring Cloud Stream live coding session. We'll also have workshops using the Kafka connector with the Solace broker, and we have an upcoming workshop, which is event enabling your iPaaS with Boomi. So what we did today, we will have a more intimate workshop where you register for it, and we'll walk through the steps. And workshops are offered twice a day. So you could go in there and say that you're interested to attend, and we will invite you to a workshop where you can ask questions, you can share your screen, and interact with us. That being said, thank you very much, Tommy and Jesse, for this. Any last words you'd like to say, Tommy, and then Jesse?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tamimi, for the opportunity. Definitely appreciated it. Like being here. And there are a ton of other things with Boomi, and
we just scratched the surface.
Yes, this is very scratching the surface. So
yeah.
Please reach out to any of the communities for any more questions or answers.
Cool. Yeah, you can see the comments coming on streaming onto the stream, and yeah, this is great. Jesse, any last words, last comments?
Chips for everybody.
Chips for everybody. Yes, the chips I was eating. FYI. Okay, fantastic. Well, that being said, thank you all, and whoever's watching us live, again, feel free, don't forget to follow us. Hit like, share, subscribe, comment, follow, all that package on YouTube and Twitch, and to stay up to date with what we have. So thank you, and take care. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.